Homo soccer, not born on, constituted, judicial order, pre-social, fragmented, primitive, Indo-European, wargas, Germanic, antiquated, impossibly Roman, extra-juridical, without peace, ancient, Germanic. Liminal, medieval, banned, killed, permitted, already dead. The life of the bandit, like the scarred man, is not a piece of animal nature without any relation to law in the city. It is a threshold of indistinction and of passage between man and animal, between exclusion and inclusion, and dwells paradoxically within both while belonging to neither. Humans should identify with Homo soccer given its inclination to violence against all animals. It is both predictable and unsettling. Violence is only possible through first conceiving this bare life within our lives, our past, and our lineages. Perrehil, perrehil, perrehil. El coite, the cutting for Dominicans. Cota, the knife for Haitians. The Parsley Massacre for the rest of you. 76 years ago, an island already devastated by colonialism, slavery, plantations, genocide, post-colonialism, an island now permanently scarred by the knife, the cutting, Quisqueya, big land for some, Haiti, hilly land for others, La Isla Española, or just plain Española for the genocidal fucks who rained holy hell down on the Taínos. Fast forward to the centuries, and yes, pull out your fuck shade. Rafael Leonel Trujillo Molina, yet another brutal dictator trained by the gringos and gringas by the north, the heinous human rights abusers. For the enter in the fall of 1937, rounded up 20,000 Haitians. In a test to identify who was Haitian, Dominican border guards would ask people to pronounce the word perejil, Spanish for parsley. Haitians who spoke French and Creole could not pronounce the word properly and often paid for the phonetic inability with their lives. Massacred by the Dominican soldiers and civilians yielding machetes and bayonets, having their limbs severed off and decapitated. No Haitian or dark-skinned Dominican suspected of being Haitian was spared. Women and children were as mercilessly slaughtered as the menfolk. Dominicans who tried to help the Haitians escape the violence were also targeted for death. Trujillo, executing the biopolitical protection of real Dominicans, Perrehil Dominicans, made a move to prevent the migration of Haitian laborers who sought to work in local sugar plantations as the global economic depression weighed on the sugar exports and the Dominican economy as a whole. Él dijo que desde unos meses ha viajado y atravesado la frontera en todos los sentimientos de la palabra. Ha visitado, investigado y preguntado por las necesidades de la población. Para los dominicanos que se quedan de las deportaciones de los haitianos que viven en ellos, los robos de grandes provisiones frustran y los impiden disfrutar en paz de los productos de su trabajo. Ha respondido, voy a arreglar esto. Ya hemos empezado a poner remedio a la situación. 300 haitianos ya están muertos en Baní. Ese remedio ya va a continuar. My relationship to this subject location and the way in which the experience of the Perrehil massacre, where there was literally a word to distinguish whether or not you lived or died, is an experience that has influenced and changed my subject and the way in which I relate, to all spaces, the way in which I relate to everything. This means that my experiences and my actions are all already related to everything, already ideological insofar as this part of my past has created something. In the same way that Cristobal Colon came to the island of Quisqueya and saw these native people and marked them as good slaves, but then once he identified that they did not have the immunity and that they were people that were rebellious, he just abandoned them and tried to destroy them from the island, literally making them have to run to the mountains in order to find protection. My grandfather was alive when this massacre was happening. He was alive as a child, and he was telling me the stories of how he did not know what was happening. He did not have any idea of what was coming when it was happening to him. This was the kind of violence that he was that he was experiencing. There was no way that he could unimagine himself outside of this violence, that he could contemplate a world where that violence didn't exist. He could not turn to anyone and ask for anything because he did not know what to do in the face of this violence, of this massacre, of this complete killing with impunity. There was no way that he could trust anyone. The only people that he had to turn to was his family, and his family and my grandfather's family was also in fear. They were in fear of what Trujillo, the dictator, would do, what Trujillo would do. They could not turn to Trujillo and speak to him about things. They could not ask Trujillo for something. There was literally a story where he told me where he saw Trujillo speaking, and Trujillo literally sent a person to die because he looked away from the speech. He saw him in the speech, and he pointed him out and sent him to die. My grandfather and this subject location is a way in which is something that always trails us. There's no way for him to have been able to see himself outside of this situation. There's really like an understanding needs to happen. I'm trying to come to grips with the way in which Trujillo could have executed these 20,000 people and completely eliminated them from the face of the earth in order to try to protect the sugar plantations of the Dominican Republic. He literally marked these 20,000 people based on this the word Perrayud, which means parsley. Literally, I would have been one of these people that would have died based on my skin color and based on the way in which I pronounce the word. This is the way in which certain people are made disposable within the sovereignty of this particular dictator. There's no way that he could have turned to anyone. The only way he spoke and the only way he understood and tried to come to grips with this, and this is how he explained it to me, was that his agency was through understanding the situation and reflecting on it and trying to come to grips with how Trujillo could actually come to do these things. This is the same kind of experience that I have when I come here and within the debate space, and also within the entirety of like my existence. I come and I understand my agency through trying to understand how certain violence is imposed on certain people and on certain bodies through my own experiences. I try to understand how, for example, I was stopped by the police on the day of my graduation, and I was violently stopped and frisked, and the cop said, "Where's your fucking gun?" and was cursing on me. This was 1 o'clock in the morning when I was on Staten Island, where buses only come every hour and a half in the middle of the night. I was like basically stranded in this place because they refused to let me get on the bus. So this is like a way in which there's constant ways in which people are already marked as, and how I'm already marked as like particularly threatened, how those Haitians were marked particularly threatened because of their difference and because of the way in which they were targeted to be killed. Look, because of this massacre, I am a particular way, and my family was a particular way, and they learned to move in a particular way. And because of all these experiences from my subject location, we learned to move in this particular way, and we never stop moving in this way because it's already ingrained in our ideology. We cannot like ever truly be outside of that subject location, because that subject location is what creates who I am as a person.
You said violence is only possible if bare life is imposed.
Mm-hmm.
The top of the 2NC, you said violence is only possible if bare life is imposed on a population.
Well, from my experience, I think that this violence is possible for me.
Okay, why do you think we should also think that?
I think that from my experience, I think that for me, bare life was this, like from this subject location, it's obviously bare life that consumed that proposed that. The idea of disposability, how these 20,000 Haitians became disposable insofar as Trujillo needed to protect the sugar plantations of the Dominican Republic. This was like a clear way in which the bare life that has that threshold to become disposable was created, where it could just be eliminated for the sake of some greater good.
Bare life is a theoretical framework developed by Agamben to talk about the history of modernity. Why did you choose to apply that theoretical framework?
The theoretical framework of who?
Agamben. That's where the concept of bare life comes from.
I'm just using the idea of disposability. I do not represent Agamben. I represent Jesus Raul Cepeda, which is me.
Right. What is the relationship between our subject location and the ballot?
Our subject location? Yours?
Anybody's subject location.
And
The subject location of a debater and the ballot.
my subject location and the ballot represents, like, the ballot does not have, like, it's really not about my subject location. It's about, like, the ballot, I really don't know what it is right now. The ballot is a piece of paper.
Okay. Is it important to, I guess my confusion is
It's
why
it's not about the ballot, like, I don't,
Can we have the ballot then?
no,
Why
you
not?
have to win it.
Why do you not win a ballot if you win everything you say in the truancy?
What you mean, why don't you win the round? Look, this is about me explaining my subject location. You need to, this is what the questions are about. Right now, this is not directed at you in terms of, like, are you understanding? This is about the way in which I discuss this and bring this out, and the way in which I discuss that relationship between the dictator and my grandfather is the way in which I'm explaining my subject location. Now, whether or not Jim seems to think that's a good idea, then that's on him when he brings the ballot and how he feels about that.
Why does your subject location require the ballot's affirmation? What role does it play in your politics?
What role does the ballot play in the politics?
Why is it useful?
For me to...
For
I
you
don't get it.
to win the debate.
Why is the ballot useful for me to win the debate?
Yes.
I don't, look, the ballot is just saying, you did something right. You were right. You're right. That's what the ballot's saying. What the statements that I make are right. Not factually correct, but do you understand that?
I guess that's cross-sectional.